We are now moving on to a special session on innovation and leadership, inspiring the next generation. India's innovation landscape is growing, with the country's ranking in the Global Innovation Index rising significantly to the 39th place in 2024 from the 81st that we were in 2015. Leadership and innovation are deeply connected. Effective leadership fosters an environment where innovation can thrive through creativity, experimentation, and risk-taking. With that in background, may I now invite Dr. K.N. Raghavan, IRS, and our moderator, C.S. Mohan Kumar, Council Member, onto the dais. We are setting the stage for you, sir. While we set the stage for the special session, would once again like to remind you about the cultural evening, which would start at 7:30 p.m., where we'll get to hear a soulful rendition by Pandit Sanjeev Abhyankar. Let me once again invite Dr. K.N. Raghavan, IRS, and our moderator for the session, C.S. Mohan Kumar A., Council Member, on the dais. Thank you, sir. Please remain seated. Dr. K.N. Raghavan is a distinguished officer of the Indian Revenue Services, having joined in 1990 after completing his MBBS from the Calicut Medical College. He has held key roles in the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, and served as the first Secretary, Commerce at the High Commission of India in Singapore. He was Commissioner of Customs in Kochi and Principal Commissioner of Central GST in Mumbai. From 2019 to 2023, he served as Executive Director of the Rubber Board and chaired several national boards, including tea, tobacco, and marine products. May I now request C.S. Mohan Kumar, Council Member, to kindly welcome Dr. Raghavan by presenting him with a planter. Dr. Raghavan is also a certified cricket umpire since 1991, and he has officiated several international and domestic matches. A huge round of applause to Dr. K.N. Raghavan. I request C.S. Mohan Kumar, who's our moderator, to please take the session forward.
Beloved President, Vice President, Council members, past presidents, Council colleagues, and our very, very special guest, Dr. Raghavan. Good evening to one and all. It's indeed a special day actually, Kerala Piravi, which translates to the Kerala Foundation Day. But when we look at the history, it is not only the Foundation Day for Kerala. In fact, the erstwhile Madras state in 1956 was divided into 4 states on this very same day. So all the 4 states, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, and Andhra, all the 4 states, Foundation Day remains the same, that is November 1st. So indeed a very special day. And we also have a very special guest as our presenter narrated. Normally when we see doctor, we will have those who have done PhD or something, but here is a person who is a real doctor, who has done his MBBS in a government law college way back, and he has done his PG also. Thereafter, he has taken up IRS service, and very, very interestingly, he has umpired in cricket matches also, 2 one-day matches, and various Duleep Trophy matches and other matches he has done. And friends, the topic for this special address is innovation and leadership inspiring the next generation. We are really deeply honored to have Dr. K.N. Raghavan with us, who is Secretary General of Seafood Exporters Association of India. As I was mentioning about his career, there are certain qualities essential to an IRS officer: clarity in interpreting laws, fairness in enforcement, and resilience amidst complexity. Similarly, a cricket umpire possesses sharp presence of mind, impartial judgment, and the strength to make decisive calls under pressure. Likewise, as company secretaries, we too navigate critical intersection of interpreting laws with precision, upholding governance with integrity, and guiding organizations with balanced and timely decisions. The thread that binds these diverse roles is very clear. Whether on cricket pitch or in public service or in corporate corridors, the leadership is defined by integrity, objectivity, and the courage to innovate while remaining anchored in principles. I am reminded of a quote by Dr. Ronald Reagan, former US President. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. It emphasizes that effective leaders inspire and mobilize others. Their legacy is built on the accomplishments of those they lead. In a world defined by rapid change and boundless possibility, innovation and leadership are no longer optional, and they are essential. As we look to the future, the challenge is not just to adapt, but to inspire. The next generation stands at the crossroads of unprecedented technological advancement and complex global challenges. To guide them forward, we must cultivate leaders who are not only visionary, but also deeply human. Innovation is more than invention. It's the courage to challenge norms, the curiosity to explore new frontiers, and the resilience to learn from failure. It thrives in environments that embrace diversity, encourage experimentation, and reward bold thinking. With these thoughts, I would now request Dr. Raghavan to share his thoughts and experiences, please.
PPT is on. Good afternoon, friends. And the topic that has been given to me is a very broad one: innovation and leadership and inspiring the next generation. So when I was preparing for it, I gave myself 2 assumptions. The first is that you have been exposed to a day of technical sessions. This is a special session. So I thought this should not be anything which comes even close to technical matters. Second is that, why have I been called here? Well, the fact that I was an officer, there are so many other officers here. But probably what added was the factor that I was an umpire. So my presentation, my talk, and my perspectives will be closely linked to cricket. It's a favorite game of mine, and it's a favorite game of millions of Indians. And we are all extremely happy when, day before yesterday, Jemima Rodriguez piloted India to a wonderful win over Australia. So this way I said, I'll be a bit off track, but then I thought it might be something different for all of you after I have been exposed to so many technical sessions. I will start with innovation, but before that, I'm sure many of you would be aware of the concept of Ikigai. Ikigai is something which, a Japanese concept which basically involves 4 rings. What are your passion? Are you good at it? 3, does the world wants it? And 4, is it remunerative? Now, I was lucky in the sense that I was passionate about cricket. It was my father who introduced me to cricket, and he did it for a very selfish reason. He wanted me to read a particular English newspaper so that I would improve my command over language. But for me, cricket became a passion, and even though I was not good as a player, I read a lot about cricket. I should thank your senior member, Mr. Shivkumar, who has been a motivating force and guide and philosopher for me when I decided to move into umpiring. I was lucky there. So when it came to umpiring, it was my ikigai. I loved the game. I was fairly good at it as an umpire. And, well, India needed umpires and board pays you well. So it was a sort of a wonderful sweet spot for me. And that is probably the reason why I'm standing here today also. So when it comes to innovations in the field of cricket, there have been plenty. If you look at it, Test cricket or international cricket started in 1877. We are nearing 150 years. But some of the innovations have been so startling that they changed the very face of the game. Old-timers may recall about body line or the technique used by Douglas Jardine and bowlers Harold Larwood of bowling short, fast-pitch balls aimed at the ribs. But that sort of bowling was soon banned. But in modern times, this particular gentleman was responsible for the most innovative changes in cricket. I'm sure some of you may be able to recognize Kerry Packer. Now, Kerry Packer was not known as a player, he was not a captain, he was not an umpire, he was not an official. But what he did was that he was a media mughal. He was a media baron. He simply wanted one contract from Australian Cricket Board saying, okay, you can telecast test matches. Australian Cricket Board, being very arrogant, said, no, we cannot give you rights for that. So Packer said, okay, you don't give it, I'll organize my own matches. He called Australian players and offered them some money. You play a match for me. Then he found that Australian players were being paid a pittance. So this gave him the idea, why not I introduce parallel set of matches? So he hired the top players from the top countries and organized this parallel cricket. He had nothing to start with. He didn't have ground, he didn't have pitches, he just had some players and a television channel, and he just wanted to start the game. But then he introduced some wonderful ideas. Cricket used to be played for 5 days in white dress using a red ball. He said, who will have all the time to watch the game for 5 days? Why don't you make it shorter? Why don't you make it day-night? People said it cannot be done. But then he introduced these innovations, which have become the hallmark of the game today. Now we have day-night matches. Day before yesterday, the match we started 3 o'clock and went till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the night. So people don't have to spend the whole day. You don't play 5 days in white uniform with a red ball with no result. No, you play a match which gets over on time and there's a specified result. Well, he said he was not given pitches, he was not given access to grounds. What did he do? He simply made pitches outside and had them transported and kept on new grounds. Well, initially it met with a few challenges, but then over a time people started accepting it. And once the game started, initially there was a lot of resistance to it. People said it is not real cricket, it is pajama cricket, it is not test cricket. But gradually as the quality of the performance grew, you understood that yes, sort of cricket being played here is top class. And the traditional cricket started losing out. So much so that they got worried and Australian Cricket Board went back and did a deal with Packer. And he stopped this sort of World Series cricket and all the cricketers returned to the fray. But the changes that he brought in of people using colored uniform, of playing cricket under floodlights at night, of using white ball, and batsmen using helmets. Again, it was something which became popular during the World Series cricket. So all these changes that is brought in have become a part of the game today. So this is the first example that I say of innovation in management. In cricket management, this was a huge change. Otherwise, that staid method of playing the game with the old system, well, it was good at certain point of time, but as we went forward, there was a need that it had to change. And it required a maverick, a visionary to change this. Now, these 4 players will be familiar with cricket lovers of the 70s and 80s. The 4 fast bowlers, Andy Roberts, Mike Holding, Colin Croft, and Joel Garner, employed by Clive Lloyd. Till then, test matches used to be played between teams. You have to have a healthy mix of pace bowling and spinners. Or if in a country like India, you have somebody to take the shine off and then bring the spinners. But nobody had yet thought that you can have 4 fast bowlers bowling in tandem and win matches. I remember some of my friends, and even I thought that if you have 4 fast bowlers, you don't need a good captain. Anyone can captain the side and they will win because the fast bowlers are so good. It was some years later, or rather just a few years back, that I happened to go through a literature. It said how West Indies trained their fast bowlers. West Indies was the first side which introduced the concept of physical fitness. We may not believe it, but after the World Series cricket ended, West Indies team hired the service of a sports psychologist and also of a physical trainer for their side. This is one of the little known facts that we always associate Australia with all these innovations. Australia had brought these people, but before that, in the late 70s, West Indies had got that. When Vivian Richards went to Australia in 75, 76 and had a bad run, he was broken. Then he approached a sports psychologist who taught him how to focus more, how to concentrate more, and how to work towards bringing out his full potential. So after that, the West Indies team had the service of a sports psychologist also. Similarly, for fast bowlers also, they got the service of a physiotherapist and a physical fitness trainer. India did this only by 2000, whereas a side like West Indies did that in the 70s, and that is why they were world champions then. One of the examples of the training that they took was that these 4 fast bowlers who would run in about 20 yards were made to run blindfolded in full speed and bowl the ball. Just imagine, can any of us do it even now? No. Can any of our local bowlers do it? They had to be blindfolded and then they will run at full pace, full length and deliver the ball and it will be on the stumps. He made them do that so that the bowlers knew that they had to take up this workload. Bowlers knew that they had to have this level of physical endurance and stamina and the perfection. Because West Indies played these 4 fast bowlers. There were no spinners, or spinners used to come just for change of bowling. And they did not have all-rounders. So the bowlers had to bear the brunt of the work. So another innovation brought in. Basically, not just the fast bowlers, but the concept of having a help of a sports psychologist and also having physical training for fast bowlers to help sides win matches. You know the face of Steve Waugh, one of the best captains the world has ever seen. He was remarkable in that he was one of the first persons who brought glamour back to Test cricket. If you look at it after the 70s, by 80s, especially after India won the 83 World Cup, most of us started focusing more towards one-day matches. Test matches became a poor cousin. Either used to get draw or there were conditions that favored the local sides. India will win at home, we will lose badly abroad. But Steve Waugh brought about a huge change in the manner in which Test matches used to be played. After the era of Chappell brothers and Lilly and Marsh, Australia went to a bad phase, out of which they came out through the help of first Alan Border and then Mark Taylor. But then Waugh built them into a world-class outfit. His strategy was simple. If you want to win matches, you have to score at a particular rate because you have to give bowlers time to bowl the others out. Second, he used something called a mental disintegration of the opponents. He wanted to get complete supremacy over the opponents. He said that you are not just players. When you go to a country, you have to understand what makes the other side tick. Don't stay in your hotel rooms. Don't be stuck in the gyms underground. Go out, see them, see the country. Understand how the background from which the players come. You learn what makes them tick, and then learn from it and imbibe that. It's a very novel approach to captaincy. If you read his book, Out of My Comfort Zone, you will understand. He actually made people read books. One Australian said, I don't read books. He said, no, you have to read. So in that way, he could get the whole mindset of the team changed and started making them think like champions, which was the reason why they could win 16 Test matches on the trot till Lakshman and Dravid broke that along with Harbhajan Singh at Calcutta in 2001. So this was the greatness of Waugh. He transformed Test cricket. He transformed leading a side from a mere captaincy and elevated into becoming a true leader of men who a team of champions, a team of good cricketers, exceptional cricketers, was converted into a team of champions by him through his tactics. Well, Mahendra Dhoni doesn't need any introduction. I'd just like to bring one facet of his captaincy. We have had so many books written on his captaincy. You remember the 2007 World Cup final. Pakistan needed, I think, 10 or 11 runs in the last over. Misbah-ul-Haq was at the crease. And Dhoni had the choice, he could bowl Harbhajan Singh. But instead, who did he call? He called Joginder Sharma. We are all shocked. Joginder Sharma, how can he bowl the last over? It was a tense match. Joginder Sharma also was tense. He bowled the first ball a wide. Then he bowled a full toss which Misbah deposited in the stands. And then the moment that Dhoni was waiting for happened. Misbah became complacent. He tried to play a reverse scoop and the catch was taken by Srishant. This was what Dhoni intended. If it was Harbhajan, the batsman would have been on the guard. He was a man in form. He was batting superbly. If he was in form and he was concentrating well, there was nothing could have stopped him. What with Joginder Sharma? There was an outside chance that Misbah would grow complacent. It was a risk, but it was a disruption of Misbah's line of thinking. So the power of disruption, which we actually read about a lot in business, what brought into cricket through a brilliant innovation by Mahendra Singh Dhoni. A lesser one might be he promoting up the order, but then that happens quite frequently. But this was a superb move on a very critical one. India-Pak match, World Cup final, and then at the all-important time, he brings a totally unknown player only because he believed that this different could work. So that is why I thought Dhoni brought in a great innovation to the field of management in cricket. This is IPL. I don't have to speak about the success of IPL. When it was launched in 2008, it was considered a money spinner because corporates are coming into cricket in a big way. We had all the big Indian businesses pumping in money. There was a lot of glamour, there was a lot of glitz. There were the cheer girls, there were a lot of runs flowing in, and we thought, wow, this is it. After a couple of years, skepticism started coming in. Well, is it good for the game? What will it give? That is where the underlying strategy came up. All the IPL franchises started having their own talent hounds. They started developing their own parallel set of people to go and scout the countryside for talent. And that's how we have got plenty of new talent on the Indian scene. If Rinku Singh has come in, if there are many players who came to the national coverage, national attention, without doing well in Ranji Trophy or without even playing Ranji Trophy, that is because of the beauty of IPL. We may say about 1960s when Bhuti Kundaran was picked by Lala Amardas after seeing him in the nets. That will not happen again. But now we have organized structure of IPL where the corporate money is used not just for sponsoring matches, but to develop the game in a constructive way by being able to identify talent, give it the necessary support and encouragement so that the players can blossom and live to their full potential. This is the beauty of IPL. The success of IPL has been such that it has been replicated in almost all the other countries. But without the same results, probably because we have deeper pockets to go with it. But it augurs well for the game. Otherwise, you had to depend upon the regular selection methods, boy going for selection at the district level. About 1,000 people will come in and maybe 10 or 20 will get a chance to bat and bowl and they will get selected. But now that system has changed because IPL people are going at the ground level and seeing matches and picking up real talent. So a player with talent has a decent chance that he will get found out, if not by the state or district selectors, but by the IPL talent scouts as well. So this parallel method, this parallel route for entry to a national side has been one of the great innovations that IPL brought in. And finally, the last 5 years has been exciting in the case of Test cricket. We had a recent series with England, which we managed to draw 2-2. It was one of the best series ever played if you take away some of the ones which we had won abroad. The beauty of it was that till the last ball, the series was fought and it was so interesting and thrilling. No one ever thought that the last day of a test match will draw in so much crowds. And that is all because of these two gentlemen standing here, Brian McCullum and Ben Stokes. The baseball cricket that they have formulated, where players are encouraged to play without fear of failure. That is the word. There is no fear of failure. Has been something which should be incorporated into all management tests. We are all afraid of failure. When I come on stage, I am afraid. There's a small fear lurking inside me which says, oh God, what will happen if I am not able to speak well? When you go for an exam, there is an innate apprehension, which is normal in human beings. Maybe it helps us to get the adrenaline going and perform to peak of our potential. But on the flip side, fear of failure can also make you overcautious. Fear of failure might make you risk averse. fear of failure might make you more reserved, restrained, and prevent you from reaching your full potential. If I can make 30 or 40 runs, well, that is good enough. I can assure my place in the side for the next match. It will prevent you from scoring a century. That will help you to reach brilliance. When in the last test, England were badly in a bad shape, and victory appeared within grasp for Indians, the two batsmen at the crease, Harry Brook and Joe Root, batted superbly. They batted as if they were having a Saturday afternoon knockout in a village match. But they brought England to the doorsteps of victory. England still lost by 6 runs. But if England had played in the conservative way, old-fashioned way, they would have lost by 150 runs. So that is the brilliance of baseball, which these two gentlemen have brought in. So hats off to them. Even after 150 years, even 50 years after many people predicted the demise of Test cricket has remained and emerged stronger. Thanks to the many innovations that have come in, whatever I have said now, except for Kerry Packer and IPL and Dhoni, have all been basically innovations in Test cricket. The oldest form of the game has survived because of the new innovations that have come in. And hats off to the administrators also, who were quick to grasp onto it and encourage that and implement them in the required statutes. Now, moderator Mohandas sir was saying about inspiration. Now, this is a picture of Kapil Dev at Tunbridge Wells. Well, to people of my generation, this was the innings. India at 17.5, at 17 runs for 5 wickets against Zimbabwe. We are going to lose and we are going to come out of the World Cup. In walks Kapil Dev. He was already there at 4 down for 9, but then Kapil Dev took over and played a brilliant innings of 175 not out. And then the history of Indian cricket changed forever. It was a one knock which changed Indian cricket. It is 175 not out. After that, we not only defeated Zimbabwe, we defeated Australia, we defeated England, we defeated West Indies, and became the world champions. And after that, one-day cricket came into India in a big way, and the rest is history. That was the inspiration that this man provided. One innings by the captain leading from the front. You can also think about Steve Waugh batting the same way against South Africa in 1999 World Cup. Maybe in the last World Cup, you had an Australian player, when Australia had their backs to the wall, playing superb cricket against Afghanistan and winning the match. But Kapil Dev's innings changed the course of history. So this is what inspiration is. You have one such knock. Now you find out what happens next when India plays in the final. Buoyed by the spirits of what Jemima and Harmanpreet Kaur were able to achieve, we will have the upper hand in the finals against South Africa tomorrow. So that is the sort of inspiration that great leaders can bring by their own work. Now, this is one of my favorite tales. This is Tiger Patodi. Patodi was the captain of Indian team till he was deposed in 1971. Then we had a run of 3 series victories. We defeated England in England, we defeated West Indies in West Indies, and again we defeated England in India. Wadekar was thought to be the man with a golden touch, who will win matches anywhere. But come 1974 and everything went down. Everything went down the drain. We lost 0-3 in England. It was one of the worst years in the history of Indian cricket. We got dismissed for 42 runs. We came back disgraced, and promptly Patodi was called back, Wadekar retired. The first 2 tests of the series, played at Bangalore and Delhi, were washed out. We just lost miserably. So when it came to Calcutta for the 3rd test, the future of Indian cricket was in balance. If India lost that test, Patodi would have been thrown out, whatever happens, and cricket would have just vanished from being the national passion. And Calcutta is a place where 80,000 people watched a test match for 5 days. On the first day of that match, when Patodi went into bat, Robert bounced a bouncer and he got one hit on the chin, which warranted 5 stitches. But thanks to wonderful innings by Gundappa Vishwanath, a brilliant century in the 2nd innings, we managed to set West Indies a target of 310 runs in the last innings. I remember this specifically because those days one used to listen to radio commentary. And when play ended on day 3, which was 31st of December, they were 146 for 3 wickets with Lloyd and Kalicharan at the crease. These two were among the best batsmen of spin bowling, and they could have taken West Indies to victory. The game was, what can we say, evenly poised. So when match began on 1st of January, we were all listening, 80,000 people on the ground, plus millions listening to commentary. It was a Saturday. Patodi took the bold decision of opening the bowling with Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar was in bad form. He had conceded runs in the first innings. and he had not bowled well on the fourth day. Crowd was not happy. In the second over, Clive Lloyd thumped Chandrasekhar for 3 boundaries. And everyone was aghast. No, why did he start the bowling with Chandrasekhar? He's leaking runs. Lloyd is batting well. What will you do? Well, after 1 over by Prasanna, again, Patodi gave the ball to Chandrasekhar. Now, 80,000 spectators in Eden Garden howled, booed in disapproval. Patodi was unfazed. He asked Chandrasekhar to bowl. And in the third ball of that over, Chandrasekhar managed a beauty which clean bowled Clive Lloyd. Now, this is guts. When you have 80,000 spectators roaring in disapproval, when you have 80,000 people saying you are a fool, you don't give him the ball, to take the call and hand over the ball to Chandrasekhar was an act of brilliance, it was an act of guts, it was an act of courage. And that is leadership. Chandrasekhar bowled India to victory. So when you look at cricket, you see these instances. There might be a time in management, there will be a time in life when most of the people say you are wrong. But then you trust your instinct, which is based on your experience, which is based on your knowledge, and go ahead. So this is one wonderful lesson that I remember listening on the radio, I remember reading about it, but whenever I think about it, I'm just amazed by the stupendous self-confidence that this man had on himself and on his side. I'll come to 2 general points. These are 2 general points. First is, in management, what does a manager has to look out for? Apart from inspiring his colleagues, apart from inspiring the people he works with, there is something that he should look out for in the team which should be prevented. This is what is popularly called as the 7 deadly sins. We know the regular 7 deadly sins as told in the Holy Book or the scriptures, but this is a set of corporate deadly sins which a manager, which a leader should watch out for and prevent their development in subordinates. First is envy. We know that in a team there will be people with different talent. They'll all be capable, but their talents, potential are in different directions. How do you take them forward? That is where the question of envy comes up. On a particular day, in a particular project, in a particular place, X may do well, and it can stoke element of envy in Y or in Z. So look out for these signs and ensure that that spirit of envy doesn't develop. So this is the first thing that a master, that a leader should develop, should look out for and prevent among the followers or the team. The second one is about, second and third ones are similar. One is conformism, the third is rigidity. There's a tendency among people to conform without thinking too much. Now, when you're part of a team, you need to think. You cannot afford to be too rigid. If you're too rigid, well, then you stick out. I remember when I was in Singapore, there was a particular instance where I went for a meeting. The present president of Singapore, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, was launching an Indian rig. So he gave a very short speech. He said, we don't have an ounce of oil in Singapore, but we still make the best oil rigs in the world. How do we do it? We do it because we assemble the best teams possible. It's a very small, cryptic statement, but it set me thinking. What could be that? The answer came to me within a couple of weeks. My daughter was studying in the university there. So one evening, I and my wife were going out. I said, why don't you come out with us? He said, no, I had to go out. There's a project work. I said, there's a project meeting. No, it is not an important meeting. You come with us. She said, no, if I don't go for project meeting, I'll lose marks. I said, it's a meeting within your team. What is the problem? He said, you don't realize we are reviewed, our performance is reviewed by other members of my team. Then the performance of the team is reviewed by other teams and also by the faculty. I thought it was a very funny system. Some days later, I had an opportunity to meet with one of the faculty who work in the university there. I asked him, and then he immediately said, that is for you Indians. I was slightly taken aback. What is wrong with Indians? Then he told me, see, you must understand. Indians are very good. Indian students are very good. Individually, they are brilliant. But then they have one problem. Either it is my way or the highway. So you put them in a team, they come over with brilliant ideas. But if others don't accept the ideas, they tend to go into a sulk or they withdraw. And they have that tendency. Whereas Chinese students, individually they may not be so brilliant, but then they are more adaptable and then they work more towards the team. So it is only to ensure that Indian students leave aside their ego, leave aside their sort of intellectual brilliance and merge with the cohorts that we have introduced this concept of grading by the other members of the peer group or the project group. It is a brilliant thing. I understood that. We as a nation are obsessed with individual performances. Cricketing example again. We all were thrilled when Sachin Tendulkar hit his 100th century. Crackers were burst, there were a lot of this thing, editorials were written, but we forgot one point there. India lost that match against Bangladesh. Had it been in Australia, they would not have celebrated the individual achievement. So where do you sacrifice the individual this thing for the collective welfare of the team? So that is the next deadly sin that one has to think about. We have to think that, well, selfishness is there. All people have a certain amount of selfishness. But that selfishness, that self-centeredness should be in alignment with the interest of the team. So work towards that. Like other day, you saw that it was a brilliant partnership between Harmanpreet Kaur and Jemima Rodriguez. Harmanpreet batted brilliantly, but unfortunately got out at 89. Jemima stayed till the end and became the hero or the heroine of the day, the darling of the masses. So would there be a sense of envy? Would there be a sense of this thing saying that, no, I deserved more? No, it doesn't happen because it's a winning team. They have been brought up differently. But some periods in the past, this could well have happened, which is why when the teams are molded, the manager, the leader has to ensure that everyone knows the role and ultimately there is no bigger joy than the success of the team. Other deadly sin is laziness. I don't have to talk about it. Then we have something which is particularly unique, passive aggression. Many years back, one will get news from within the team. Within the national team, you have this thing, this captain is favoring X, this captain is not favoring Y. There's a problem between that. Gavaskar doesn't like Kapil Dev, Gavaskar doesn't like Dilip Doshi, Kapil Dev prefers Chetan Sharma, Kapil Dev doesn't like Raju Kulkarni. So these sort of news reports used to come in. So all news reported from within the team, juicy tidbits which are written by the media. This is something called passive aggression. This is, you can be aggressive in an overt way. You can stand up and tell him, no, Mr. Gavaskar, what you're doing is not right. That doesn't happen. So Mr. Gavaskar goes on his own way, and somebody leaks a news out saying that Mr. Gavaskar doesn't like Mr. Kapil Dev. So that gossip, that sort of thing is very interesting for many people, particularly for Indians. Most of us, we survive on gossip. We like the juicy tidbits that come out. Oh, there's a problem between these two. That is why this is happening. Now, Mr. Gambhir is selecting Mr. Harshad Rana because of this particular thing. Some of these people put out this thing. But forgetting the fact that Mr. Gambhir and Mr. Surya Kumar Yadav are working for the success of the side. It was very, very interesting to read a couple of days back when someone asked why Mr. Yadav was not scoring well. He said, no, I don't worry about it because our strategy is that we will take a ultra-aggressive approach. It is far better, it is far easier to score 40 runs of 30 balls and have a good score line showing. But it is much better for the side if you score 20 runs of 5 balls. So that is the difference that comes in. This is the area where we have to understand that you have to take out envy, you have to take out selfishness, you have to take out the elements of conformism and rigidity, and you have to take out the element of passive aggression. Only then will the real team spirit come in. So that is why I said, identify the 7 deadly sins and then move forward. This is a favorite of mine. It is not directly linked to the subject, but one thing I will say from my experience. I joined the service in 1990, and in my first year, I happened to come across a very famous and successful IPS officer in Kerala. So I asked him, sir, what is the secret of your success? And he told me, Raghavan, the secret of my success is a shuttle badminton I play in the evening. I thought he was pulling my leg. Then he told me, no, I'm serious. Policing is a very tough job. I get up in the morning at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock with a call that something has gone wrong, a theft has happened, there's a traffic jam here, or there is some problem. And then I keep working through the day trying to solve problems, none of which is my creation. All the problems of every other thing comes on my desk. By the time it is evening, I am tired, I am angry, I am frustrated. If I go home in that way, I'll be a lousy father, I'll be a very poor husband. So instead I go to a police club and play shuttle badminton for 1 hour. I thrash the shuttle badly and all my frustrations are taken out. So when I go home, I am in a refreshed stage of mind. I am happy, I become a good parent and a nice husband. So hobbies are very important in shaping our life. So you are all extremely busy professionals. You have a very, very important job to do. There are complications, I could listen to some of them, but I worked with company secretaries, I know the sort of pressure that comes on you. And there is so much of fiduciary responsibilities, and there are a lot of people might want to take advantage of the statutes or the loopholes. And then how do you manage? You need to develop hobbies. You need to develop a channel which can keep you happy. So develop a hobby which you can indulge in for 1 hour in a day. That will help to ensure that you remain young at heart. That will help to ensure that you always remain firmly focused on your job. And you will remain free of illnesses, ailments, stress, strain, anything. So my request, my advice to you is, please take up a hobby. And this is the last slide that I have. Now, there are many, each particular sloga in Bhagavad Gita is a lesson by itself. But I'll quote the favorite one that I have. Labande Brahma Nirmanam Rishaya, Shina Kalmisha, Chinnaduda, Edatma, Sarvabhuta Hiderada. It has a higher meaning, but for a very average, ordinary mortal like me, Labande Brahma Nirmanam, I'll say success, fulfillment, happiness in life. Shina Kalmisha, Chinnaduda, Edatma, Sarvabhuta Hiderada, which means that have a clear conscience. You might have to work in difficult situations where you may be forced to follow decisions which will not be your liking. Think about the policeman starting on the road, he was asked to do a lathi charge. It may not be something that he likes, but then there's an order, he has to carry it out. Unless, if he doesn't carry it out, it can lead to greater commotion and greater damage. So he does a lathi charge. He doesn't know who is beating. It is not a good thing to beat people, but then he is forced to do it. Does he carry the common conscience within him? No, he doesn't, because he's doing his work. So whatever you do in your work, do with a clear conscience. Have a free conscience on that. But don't do anything that is deliberately wrong. Because if you do anything deliberately wrong, that becomes a stain on your conscience. 2, Chinnaduda, have no doubts. How do you have no doubts? If you're on top of your subject, if you know your subject well, there will be no doubts. It's only those people who have little knowledge or who have poor appreciation who have doubts. So always keep yourself abreast with what are the latest happenings. Statutes keep changing, new requirements come in. Company law is a very, very dynamic field. You had so many provisions, new acts coming in. It shows that it's an area which keeps changing. So it's not easy to keep pace with the happenings on a regular basis, but invest your time and keep pace with that, and you'll be successful. 3rd, be balanced. Most of the problems in our society happen because people take extreme views. There is no point of moderation these days. Either you are with me or you are against me. Mine is the only way, everything else is wrong. This is a sort of approach that creates tensions and problems. Try to adopt a balanced approach. And finally, Sarvabhuta Hideraha. When you work, when you are posed with a question, take a decision, take a course of action that brings a maximum benefit to maximum number of people. You are in positions where you can do a lot of benefit to the public. So take this as an opportunity to bring maximum benefit to maximum number of people. If you have any questions, I'll take them now. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to be here. Good evening to all of you.
Well, I could see a sparkle in the eyes of the cricket lovers. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. K. N. Raghavan, for generously sharing your expertise and thoughtful insights, which truly enriched the session. Your deliberations have deepened our understanding and made this session both dynamic and impactful. Mr. Mohan Kumar, please. I would request C.S. Mohan Kumar to kindly share some thought process, please.
Thank you, Dr. Raghavan, sir. It was a very, very, very interesting one. In fact, Indians generally love cricket, and all the examples you took were from cricket, and we were really and quoted a lot of insights to the professionals. And thank you very much. In fact, in the very first minute itself, the two topics which you touched upon are very, very relevant. One is Ikigai, which is a Japanese concept, find your passion, and of course, the next one is Jemima Hendricks, who is who are in our thoughts for the last 48 hours. And social media is full of her videos and her never say die attitude. She scored 2 zeros in the first 2 innings and dropped in between, and then in the must-win game against New Zealand, she came and shone. And then, of course, in the semi-final, she helped India to beat the mighty Australians. And of course, you took us through a lot of history, and most of us love cricket. Right from the fearsome fast bowlers from West Indies and Steve Waugh, Dhoni, and all these stories are, and of course Kapil Dev's 175 not out, and all these stories were extremely interesting and inspiring. And in our country, mostly people look up to 2 people. One is film stars and another one is sports persons as role models. I always feel sports persons are very good role models for one simple reason, that even after winning a World Cup or whatever, the next day they go and train. The next day they go and train, be it Dhoni or Kohli. They never stop their training. So thank you so much for your wonderful session, and there is quite a lot of learning for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as a token of gratitude for sparing valuable time and wisdom, I now request C.S. Shivakumar P., former chairman SARC of the ICSI, to please come out to the stage and present a memento to our speaker. C.S. Shivakumar P., former chairman SARC of the ICSI. Can we have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you, sirs. We're all set to begin the next session. Gift IFSC enabling growth and professional opportunities for achieving vision of Viksit Bharat. Before that, I would like to remind you that the cultural evening will start right at 7:30. We have a special performance by Sri Pandit Sanjeev Abhyangar. We'll start right at 7:30. Would request you all to be preferably in your traditional attire so that we can make it even more colorful.